What do you do if you know you need to quit your job right now? All right, this seems to be one of those things where it is becoming more and more apparent to people, and I'm pleasantly surprised that people are more aware of the toxic environment that they're in their jobs. If you feel stressed all the time, now I'm not talking about I'm stressed today because these problems are at work, or I got into a fight with my boss or coworkers and so today I hate my job. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about long term, like you have to quit your job. It goes against your morality. They're asking you to do things that you don't agree with all the time. You have a toxic environment where you're being abused emotionally or verbally or physically. You don't feel safe physically or emotionally in the workplace. It's sucking the life out of you. If your partner and your family are saying, hey, you're constantly disconnected when you're at home and your job is taking precedence over us, right? And it's a sustained thing, not just a bad week, bad month, right? Anybody can have a bad week or a bad month. Problems can happen. But if you know that you need to quit your job, what do you do? Because that's your income, right? And we talk about this in other videos and other lessons, and we have plans for this inside of the ILMA. But when you have to quit your job, what do you do? There's this panic that comes over. And I've talked to so many of my clients and so many of my friends and myself even I need to quit my job, but I don't know how to do that. Like what's going to happen? There's all these worries that come in. There's the panic. There's the, maybe you can just stick it out because it's good paying, or it's so hard to find another job. The economy is bad, right? I've got all these bills. I got this debt. There's all kinds of reasons why you should stay in this horrible environment. But there's the biggest reason of all to leave is your sanity, right? But how do you pull that trigger? And then what do you do? What happens? Because you know that your paycheck is going to go away. Your income is going to go away. We'll get back to the episode in just a second, but we wanted to give you a gift just for being here today. Thank you so much. We've got a 3-part video workshop absolutely free for you. This workshop is designed to help you get organized with your money so that you can give yourself a 10% raise. When you give yourself a 10% raise, you are going to have more money. And when you have more money, we will show you exactly what to do with that money so that you can get on the path to financial freedom and start living your life, your ideal life today. You're going to learn how to get out of debt. You're going to learn how to save money. You're going to learn how to free up money so that you can invest for your future. If you're unfulfilled with life, whether it be at work, in your personal life, or with your money, then this is the workshop for you. Visit sentinelcoaching.com/raise. That's sentinelcoaching.com/raise, or click the link in the description. Now, back to the episode. I got another video on what do you need to do for quick cash. You can check that video out if you're in an emergency situation where I just had to quit and now my income goes away, or I lost hours, or they fired me, or I got laid off because of the economy, whatever it might be. How do I get income right now? But let's just say it's your choice and you need to quit your job. You know that you need to quit your job. How do you go about doing that? Well, you don't want to just rashly one day say, I'm done, I'm out of here, and quit, right? Not the Jerry Maguire scene where he grabs the goldfish and is like, who's coming with me? Like, it's probably not the wisest choice, right? That's good for movies, not really good for you and me, real life situation, because we have commitments and bills and things like that. So obviously, if you're physically in danger or if you're being abused, you need to get out as fast as possible, but don't be rash about it. But how do you do that? Okay, so we need to put a plan in place on how long can I sustain this situation before I'm kind of done. If you already are done, then you need to act more quickly to set up your chessboard, so to speak, so that you can jump out of there and land solidly on your feet. But if you truly just jump, you might be jumping into an empty pool, right? I'm kind of like all analogies all over the place. But the idea, right? You don't want to jump if there's no water in the pool. You got to get water in there. You jump, you're safe. Okay, so how we need to do on the back end first, we reverse engineer this, right? Okay, so if another job of the same or more income, and that could be one job, it could be two jobs, it could be side hustles, it could be whatever it might be, but whatever you need to do to create income so that you can live your life, that's like if you could just quit one day and the next day start the other job, that's obviously awesome. But if that's not set up, we need to set that up in order to quit this job. So you got to do your homework. You got to do your research. You got to figure out, how do I get this job? What is the interview process? Do I need to update my resume? Who do I know that can get me an interview? All these different things, right? You start doing those things. What companies do you want to work for? What industry do you want to be in? How much is the salaries? What is the average salary? Are you going to be going in as an experienced worker that's going to get a higher salary, or are you brand new to this industry where you're going to start at the bottom? Right? All these questions need to be answered, and you can do this in a few hours if you wanted to. Get all those ducks in a row so that when you do quit, you have some place to go. You want to already be in this process on the train, the right train moving, when you can actually jump on and replace that income. So the shorter the time, shorter the gap is between leaving the toxic job and getting hired by this other company or starting the income generation going over here, the better off you're going to be financially. And probably emotionally too, since it's so stressful to not have an income. Most of us have been there at some point. We've lost a job, we've had emergencies, all these things where it's so stressful. In fact, we have conversations all the time about it's very stressful and hard to be poor. It just is. When you don't have money, when you're broke, when you're in debt, it's very stressful. It's so much more stress than if you had money sitting around, right? So you want to avoid this if you can. And this is where the planning part comes in. So X job, and you can't just expect to get hired at the first interview, right? Or the first job that you apply for. So you want to have some kind of list of, here are the top 3 choices that I'd want to work for. But out of that 3, you have to figure out what is a list of 10 companies in your area that you want to work for, or in your industry that you want to work for, right? And then you do the research on those and figure out, okay, well, I'm going to wean out some of these other ones because of certain other things. These people pay more, have less benefits. These people have more benefits, pay less. This is a longer commute. This is a shorter commute. I think I'll be happier here than here, right? All these different things that you need to think about. All right, so let's assume that you've done all that homework and you figure out, okay, I'm going to start looking at these things, right? Start talking to the HR department, start talking to people, start having those interviews. Get a feel for, is this a real possibility, or am I kicking tires, or are they kicking tires and probably not going to hire me, right? But in the meantime, you're still over here being abused or being unsafe or being miserable, right? So you have to act quickly on the time. Like, be intentional. Instead of going home and vegging out and just watching TV, go on walks after work, clear your head, get right, so that when you're home, you can be present to your family, and then you can start working on this other plan to get hired and move on to your next career job. So this is truly like if you have to leave quickly, right? If you know that you have to leave your job right now, like quit as soon as possible. So you have to set those pieces in motion. So how do you actually quit? You don't just tell off your manager or your boss and leave, because that always comes back to bite you. Somebody knows somebody that knows somebody in this other job that's going to hire you, and they heard from that other company that you went off, or that you complained, or that you did some other things. Like, I can't tell you how many times this happens. It's like, oh yeah, I heard if you treated them like this, you're probably not going to like it here, because we are going to ask you to do something and then you're going to lose it, or you're going to make a stink, or you're going to gossip, or you're going to tell other people what to do, and that's not your place, right? All kinds of different things. Word gets around. There's too many people that have networks that know each other. So you want to leave well here as fast as possible, and then jump over to this income stream over here as fast as possible. So organize some time. get your calendar out, organize some time, lock out on your calendar. Here's the hours that I'm going to put in for the next week, the next 2 weeks, or maybe on the weekends, maybe all day Saturday, like whatever it might be, so that you can do the homework over here to get this all lined up. Start, making sure your resume is updated, making sure you're polished on your interviewing skills. Make sure you know the companies that you want to work for. Make sure that you have your certifications and your certificates up to date. Whatever needs to happen so that this can be a really smooth transition. If these people aren't hiring for 6 months, is this something that you can wait on? If you know you need to quit now, 6 months is forever. So that's probably not going to be a place that you're going to interview for and get the job when you want it. So you might need to do something else as a transition until you can get that dream job elsewhere. Okay? So you have to go through this process to understand, okay, here's how I quit. I'm going to button up and wrap up as best as possible. I'm going to finish well all the projects that I have. I'm going to make sure that the systems are set up, that everybody is happy, all the doing things, and so that I can easily transition and say, thank you so much for the time that I've had here. I'm going to be moving on, and that can be okay. And they can make a stink about it if they want, but that's not your problem. You did what you needed to do, and you needed to leave. So you decided to leave, and then you jumped on this other train, and that's moving and going along. You have to do it as fast as possible, but you want to finish well. And you want to make sure that this is set up so that there's nobody that's going to say, oh yeah, they made a stink going out, or they said this, or they did that, or they're a horrible employee, because it'll get to your interview people, the people that are interviewing you for other jobs, and you will have a less likely chance of actually getting on your feet in another job. Okay, so that's how you quit well over here, and that's how you set up your pieces beforehand so that you can actually have the shortest gap or the shortest time to move from one job to the other. But I cannot stress this enough. If you need to leave your job and it's impacting your health and your sanity, make the decision. Make the right decision to get out as fast as possible, even if that means taking a pay cut, taking different hours, different jobs, industry that you don't know anything about or don't like right now. You have to get out of that situation so that you can be healthy and get into a place, and then you can move up from there. But yeah, if you know that you need to quit, start making the plans now as fast as possible. Set your pieces up so that you can actually move as fast as possible to get out of there and to go in and actually thrive. Do the work that you know is going to actually benefit you and your family and anyone around you. All right, so it's a hard subject because there's so much panic in it, but you need to do what you need to do to actually live your ideal life, not somebody else's ideal life. So we'll see you on another video.